down, take a place on the sofa. It's time for some cracking Christmas viewing because Wallace and Gromit are back.
35 years after they first appeared on our screens, the duo are returning in Vengeance Most Fowl. Our entertainment correspondent, Lizo Mazimba, has been meeting the film's creators.
I'm live outside the West Wallaby Street house of the evil inventor, Mr. Wallace.
Evil?
Wallace and Gromit are back.
There's clearly been a mistake.
In a new adventure where once again Wallace's inventions get them into trouble. It was all filmed at Aardman Studios in Bristol, where I had a grand day out with the team, including, of course, the creator of Wallace and Gromit, Nick Park.
What was the decision-making process for bringing them back now? Was it because the public wanted them so much, or you had a story you wanted to tell, or it just felt like this is the time for Wallace and Gromit to be back?
Yeah, well, it was very much both those factors, really. I mean, whenever we've done talks around the world, the last question is always, when is the next Wallace and Gromit film? And on the last time we did that, I came home just burning with this idea that's been around for years, actually, about what if Wallace created an automated gnome, a smart gnome, and thinking of all the antics that could follow that.
Hi, I'm your nifty odd-jobbing robot. Call me Nobot.
This is my latest invention.
Pleased to meet you, Master Gromit.
A smart gnome.
Whoops.
The project was filmed over spring and early summer after 5 years of planning. Nick Park and the film's other director, Merlin Crossingham,
as they come through, the door's going to flip off.
Guiding a team of expert animators, the pair describing and sometimes even acting out how they want the characters to behave.
Okay.
Now, this new story has the return of an old villain who the pair last encountered back in 1993's The Wrong Trousers. Sadly, one person who isn't back is, of course, the original voice of Wallace, Peter Sallis, who died back in 2017. Ben Whitehead says it's an honour taking on the challenge of replacing Peter Sallis's famous tones.
It's been kind of nice to have the time to do it, as animation takes time. Aardman have given me time to work on the voice.
Put him through his little paces.
You kind of have to do the sort of the and the, you know, the and definitely the elongation of the vowels, like the you know, cheese.
You look like you need a good pat. Come here. That's it, lad. My new pat-o-matic will oblige. And if you think that's progress, wait till you see the next thing I'm working on.
The pair's last major project was 2008's A Matter of Loaf and Death.
On my way, Gromit.
It was watched by more than 16 million viewers.
With you in a jiffy.
The most watched Christmas Day programme and the biggest audience of the year. Might they be hoping to do the same this year?
Oh, no!
When they're up against Gavin and Stacey.
Thanks, lad.
In the meantime, the duo still have to defeat Feathers McGraw. And if they do, the Aardman team say they're sure that Wallace and Gromit will be back for more adventures in the future. But it just might take a while.
Gromit!
Lizo Mazimba, BBC News, Bristol.
Well, let's speak now to the pair behind Wallace and Gromit. We have Nick Park and Merlin Crossingham here on the sofa with us. Morning, gents. I'm so grateful you're here because this must be a particularly busy time of year for you.
It is.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride.
We've been everywhere.
I know, you're so associated with that special moment on Christmas Day when everybody gets together, everyone's family, friends, and watches this. Tell us what we can expect this Christmas Day.
Well, it's a full-length feature film of Wallace and Gromit. It's nearly 80 minutes, and it's up to all their usual slapstick comedy and with a bit of sinisterness mixed in. as usual with Wallace and Gromit.
Our favourite evil penguin is back.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so lots of rip-roaring adventures. And it's been a long road to get here, so we're so excited.
It has. It's been a while since the last one, isn't it? I mean, because they're re-shown, we forget. But I mean, what was it, 7, 8 years or something?
That was A Matter of Loaf and Death.
Yeah.
That was a 30-minute short.
Yeah.
And then before that was Curse of the Were-Rabbit back in 2005. So this is the first feature since then.
It's a really long time.
Yeah.
Why did you wait so long? Evil laugh in the corner.
We've been up for all
Feathers.
sorts of stuff in the background, haven't we?
Yeah, we've been busy making other things.
But you wait for the big idea, really. That's what it's all about. You need that idea that grabs you and demands to be made.
Yeah.
And this was this idea about Wallace inventing a robot gnome called Norbot.
Of course.
And then, even bigger idea, Feathers Returns.
Yeah.
That really made it into a feature film,
Yeah,
didn't it?
yeah. And on top of that, the studio can only make one film at a time. So, we've made Shaun the Sheep and Early Man and you kind of Chicken Run, and you kind of have to wait your turn in the studio.
Yeah.
And because you're doing stop animation, like physically manipulating the characters, I mean, how long does it take to make an 80-minute movie?
Yeah, I mean, by the way, these
20 years.
These are the actual puppets from the movie.
The actual ones.
This is the scale and they have to be moved frame by frame, as you say. What? 5 seconds?
5 seconds per week per animator.
5 seconds per week.
On a good week.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So if the whole crew got a minute of animation in the week, it would be a great week. So 15 months it took us. And I think we had about 260 people in our studio crew for principal photography. So it's a big old process.
Yeah, and we had the best team in the world at this. They were fantastic. They could animate anything.
Yeah.
Feathers McGraw was only about 4 or 5 animators volunteered to do Feathers McGraw because he's so specialised. And
Specialised in what way?
well,
challenging?
His movements are so nuanced, and he has that screen presence. And we, colleagues who animated him back in '93, Steve Box, he set that up in the wrong trousers, and we were really careful to stay online with him because it keeps the mystery and behind him is the most important thing.
But we saw in Lizo's report there just a moment ago that you're also physically having to, we saw you sort of acting it out and sort of like working out how the movements will be.
Yeah, that's how we kind of convey to the animators what's in our heads, because we've both been involved in, with Mark Burton, the screenwriter, we're both absorbed in it, and it's our way of conveying to the animator what we want, not to copy it as live action, but to we can say that we've got something to look at and we need to hit this beat and we need to make it funny in this way or that speed or whatever.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Feathers and how important a role he plays. What is it about the baddie that makes people so interested? Why the baddie's really important?
It is really important, and it's often said that a movie like this is only as good as your villain, and you've got to love to hate your villain. And he's kind of just ridiculous. I mean, penguins are so cute and so gorgeous, and the idea that this penguin is kind of rotten to the core and evil as they come, I think is such a love, and a master of disguise as well.
Yes.
And I guess he's a subtle villain as well, which makes it a bit stronger. He aims to divide and conquer all the time. He's up to all sorts of gaslighting Gromit and using all sorts of nefarious means to get what he wants.
Oh, he's very mean.
Yeah.
And not mean at all, Wallace. It's right that Wallace was based on your dad?
Well, not consciously. I just realised after making my first Wallace and Gromit film, which was a Grand Day Out, which was essentially a college film, where he built a rocket, goes to the moon, and my parents built this caravan when we were kids. We were quite a big family, and we went on holiday in this home-built caravan. And I realised I've made a film about my dad who built it.
Wow, yeah.
One of the things that will forever be associated with the films, though, is the voice of Peter Sallis. No longer with us.
No.
And in this film, you had that really tricky decision to make, didn't you, of how to replace him? I don't know whether replace is the right word, but who to bring in?
Take on the mantle and kind of carry the torch.
Yeah, and the answer was kind of under our noses, really, because Ben had worked on Curse of the Were-Rabbit as a background character, and he had to stand in to read in for Peter sometimes, and we found out he could do a perfect Wallace impression. Peter's Wallace.
And we've worked with Ben, and Ben knew Peter, actually, and so he kind of had Peter's blessing and was essentially his understudy for many years. And there were jobs that Peter didn't want to do or couldn't do, and Ben took them on. And over the years, Ben has just really settled into that role. And the first big job he did was the BBC Proms. We did a family prom, and then, of course, this film. We're so proud of what Ben has brought to the film for us, and it's really embraced Wallace, and the heart and soul of Wallace kind of sings out brilliantly.
Because Ben Whitehouse's voice is it's uncanny, isn't it?
Yeah, Ben Whitehead.
Oh, sorry, Whitehead. Sorry.
It's
uncanny.
And it is, and he's never gonna. It's never going to be a carbon copy of Peter, and we didn't really want that. We just wanted it needs to sound like Wallace, of course, because that's a huge part of his character. But we just needed to let Ben bring, as an actor, bring his own kind of version of Wallace, as well as and so he's a great mimic, but he's also a great actor, and those two things together meant that he made Wallace continue, and it's been wonderful.
It was kind of spooky at the beginning because he would do a few when we started recording with him at the beginning of this film. And he would talk off mic, still in character, exactly like Peter used to do. And it was like so uncanny, it was like Peter was actually there and in the room. It was a very strange feeling.
Even before we see it on Christmas Day, you've already been nominated for a Golden Globe.
I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're heading back out again in January.
Back to LA,
yes.
What's that experience like?
It's mad.
Go on, in what way?
Well, Nick knows. I remember Nick at the Oscars.
And it's funny now because it's like how many years on now. Wrong Trousers was 30 years ago. I didn't realise just how much it's soaked into the culture, and the kids in America, not kids, but young adults are saying it's my childhood, and in the most, everyone's so warm and towards it. It's been overwhelming, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's marvellous that we're going to the glitz and glamour of Hollywood and LA with modelling clay. I think that's great.
Doesn't it melt in the heat?
It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
They're partly silicon as well, so they can stand up to the heat.
The kind of the humour of it, that gentle humour, translates so well. Who would have imagined that?
And that's why clay animation and stop motion it lends itself to like human observation and the subtlety of Gromit's eyebrows. There's a great power in it. Relatable. Very human.
Will we get another film? Are there plans?
Yeah.
How long will that one take? Maybe another 20 years.
Watch this space.
But we can expect more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't stop the ideas coming. It's
all about the idea. Like you said, you waited till the idea came.
Yeah, it's
very important.
Yeah, it's all about idea.
Not just to make one because you feel you ought to.
Yes.
But to make one because it needs to be made.
Yes, you're waiting for those lightning strike sort of moments, aren't we, really?
And there's something really timely about the storyline for this one, I think. I mean, although it's not heavily done, but it's kind of about technology in all our lives and how we deal with it and handle it, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is. Our kind of love affair with tech, really. That's what Wallace represents, and Gromit very, very much represents the old human touch. He likes things the way they used to be. He likes to do the gardening himself. He doesn't really want an automated gnome to do it for him. Who would? Well, actually, it would be a good idea in some cases.
And then there's another question in the film as well. Who's controlling technology? When it's Wallace, it's kind of nice and innocent. But when it's not Wallace, not so much.
Yeah, we had a great screenwriter, Mark Burton, who was really hot on that subject.
And all, like you say, done very lightly in the Wallace and Gromit way, in the Wallace and Gromit world. So it's not sort of rammed down your throat, but it's... If people come away asking those questions, that's fine by us.
Well, it's lovely to have all four of you here this morning. Thank you so much for coming in, Merlin, Nick. Wallace, Gromit, thanks for your company. And you can watch Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Fowl. It premieres on BBC One, 6:10 on Christmas Day, and, of course, will be on the BBC iPlayer as well. Fantastic.
It's perfect.